Welcome, everyone. We are excited to be doing another BME Crew live workshop here. We're going to be talking about a topic that has really become kind of near and dear to my heart about branding effectively. And when we brand our business effectively, there's some really great benefits and results from that. We get higher quality leads. We get exposure to people that wouldn't have seen us before. And also when we really show up and present who we really are as a company and as leaders, then we attract people that are a better fit for us. And so, hey, Tom, glad to have you here. We are excited to walk through this. And in just a minute here, Ashley's going to dive in and share this with us. I got to see a little preview of what we're going to be going through today, and it is amazing. So definitely make sure you tune in. And, really, I always encourage people to take this time and be really fully present for yourself. Turn off other distractions. Take time to be here, and you'll get a ton of value from it. But I know I've failed at this before. Like, I think I'll reply to messages or look at some emails too, and then I end up missing that critical thing that really could have moved me forward or really helped me grow. And so, definitely a lot of great value. Hey, Melissa, it's great to see you as well. And so, as you're tuning in, for those of you that registered, that's always the best way to get the easiest access to the free resources, the things that we're going to be giving away. So as we send our emails, as I post about this on the different channels, definitely always register. And the registration link is always the same. It's bmecrew.tv. That way you can make sure that you get access to any resources we send and all of those things. So that's a great place to be connected. And of course, we welcome everybody that's watching this on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere else that we are sharing this. So again, thanks for everybody for joining in. And what I'm going to do now here is turn it over to you, Ashley, and look forward to what you have to share.
Perfect. So hi, everyone. My name is Ashley. I know that some of you guys have met me, but if my face is new to you, I am the lead copywriter here at BME Crew. And today I am extremely excited to talk about something that I chat with our clients internally about all the time, which is the importance of branding. I feel like a false perception that people have about branding is that, I just need an awesome logo, or I just need a memorable tagline. And even though that is a part of branding is so much more than that. And it's actually responsible for over 80% of sales, which is crazy. So today, I'm really just going to be diving in exactly how to get more of those clients that you absolutely love and retain the ones that you already love through branding your business. And I'm going to jump right in with our overview for today. So again, just to recap, I'm going to jump right in through the overview just so that you guys can see what's in store for us for today. So first, even though it is a little bit of educational stuff, it really does help us build the foundation for what I'm going to be teaching. So first, I'm going to jump into what is branding and what is it really, right? Because I know that obviously a logo is involved, but branding is so much more than that. Then I'm going to be jumping into the 3 components of brand personality. And when you think of personality and brand personality, it's exactly what you think of what it is, right? Every person has a personality, and so does your brand. But of course, personalities are compiled of so many different things that I'm going to break it down into 3 simple components to remember, so that way you can make sure that everything that you're putting out for branding is really informed by that brand personality. After that, I'm going to jump into creating a client avatar, which some of you might know what this is and others may not. If you do not, and even if you do, you need to stay tuned for this, because this is arguably probably one of the most important parts of today's workshop. And again, I'm going to show you how you can use this to inform basically everything that you put out, including your logo, including your messaging, your social media, your emails. After that, I'm going to jump into informing your messaging with your own personality. And if you're an introvert, I know this can sound scary, but I constantly tell our clients and even Gabe, be weird, put yourself out there, because your personality is really what's going to not only humanize your brand, right? Because so many people are utilizing AI and just, saying, write this for me, and they're posting it directly. But since so many people are doing that, it doesn't seem human anymore. So not only does it humanize your brand, but it also just makes your brand stand out, and it's different from competitors that might be similar to you. Of course, we need to make sure that this is an actual successful strategy, right? So I'm going to be jumping into some real brand examples of brands that have actually done this and have succeeded from this. Then I'm going to be jumping into our giveaway. So please stay tuned for the giveaway, because it's going to be helping you create your own client avatar to inform all of your messaging and all of your marketing assets. And then finally, what you guys are actually here for is the action steps to say like, hey, Ashley, how do I actually do this? Because obviously we're building that foundation, but I also need to showcase how you can do this yourselves in an easy way too. So let's jump right in with the first part of our workshop, which is what is branding? So branding overall just gives your business an identity to help it stand out from similar competitors. So I like to think about it as in like McDonald's versus Burger King or Nike versus Adidas. Virtually, these companies are very similar, right? They sell virtually the same things. They might have a few differences, but I'm sure everybody here has a preference. So, does anybody have a preference? Please feel free to put it in the chat because I'm very curious. McDonald's versus Burger King or Nike versus Adidas? I have a preference. Mine is McDonald's and Nike. And I will explain why in just a second. Burger King game might be popular in Ohio. I have nothing against Burger King. I used to wear the crown all the time when I was a little kid, made out of cardboard. McDonald's fries, Burger King burgers. I agree, Kayla. Burger King's burgers are really good. Actually, I had Culver's the other day, even though this isn't a part of this conversation. Culver's is fantastic. Keith, Burger King. I might be the only McDonald's girl here. Oh, Melissa, you're just like me, Nike and McDonald's. That's awesome. So again, the reason why we all have these preferences is even though, again, these brands are extremely similar and they virtually sell the same things, even though some food tastes better than the other and maybe some athleisure is better than the other, the reason why you have these preferences is because of the branding that they've done to you. You identify with their brand personality. And if you take a look at this marketing funnel over here, you can kind of see that branding starts at the awareness stage and goes all the way down to the retention and loyalty stage. So it really just goes to show that involving that brand personality will really help people identify. And maybe if you have your business versus another business, they're going to want to choose you, right? Because of the way that they branded to you. And the most important thing is that branding is everywhere, from your logo design, your product packaging, your taglines and slogans, your messaging. And this is all extremely informed by your brand personality, which is exactly where I want to start today. Because again, your brand personality can go into every single one of these different assets, even the emails that you write, the conversations that you have with people in real life. Your brand personality informs all of it. And so today I'm going to be jumping into the importance of brand personality and how exactly to build your own. So brand personality is the human characteristics or emotions associated with a brand. And this really helps you build attraction, trust, and loyalty. And the way that I always like to think about it is we've all met a person that either one has just zero personality and they're really bland and it's likely you don't want to talk to them anymore, or that has a personality that's polar opposite to yours and you might find them interesting, but at the end of the day, it might not be somebody you want to hang out with because their personality is completely polar opposite, and that's okay. And so again, by having this brand personality, it really helps you build that attraction, trust, and loyalty. And you want to make sure that your brand does have some personality so that way you can attract the people that you want to bring into your business, hence bringing in those clients that you love to work with and keeping the ones that you also love to work with. And then at the bottom here, it actually does say that 81% of buyers need to trust a brand before they buy. And so if you don't already have this in place, it's likely that you could be missing out on a lot of purchases, which is okay, because today we're going to be actually talking about how to build your own brand personality. Almost done with the education phase, guys, but this next part is talking about what is brand personality really. And I wanted to break it down into 3 different components because again, personality can be everything, right? If somebody were to ask you to describe your personality, you likely have no words to say. So I want to make sure that we can break it down into 3 simple steps. So when it comes to your brand personality, I always like to start with values. And this is your beliefs, your principles. A few examples can be diversity, accountability, honesty, quality. At BME Crew specifically, one of our guiding principles is positive confrontation. And so since we say like, hey, we really value positive confrontation to make sure that we can move past any conflict to make sure that we can help you and your business be successful. Since we disclose that, if we were to be compared to another marketing agency that might not be disclosing that, it's likely that people who also value that principle would want to work with us instead, right? Because we're disclosing that value and it helps us connect with people in a way that the other brand didn't. The next one is voice, and that is the communication behind the messaging. So for me personally, and I know the BME Crew folks know this for sure, but I like humorous, relatable marketing, especially just ones that make me laugh. Meme marketing is fantastic. And there's actually a Super Bowl ad that I saw the other day. And if anybody else watched the Super Bowl, you likely saw this, but it was a bunch of TV characters that their shows are currently on Paramount Plus, and they were deciding who was going to throw Arnold, if you guys watched Hey Arnold, because his head was shaped like a football. And I'm actually going to show you guys that in a second, because it really just goes to show how adding personality into a commercial that could have been so bland really attracted me, right? And I remember it. I remember it to this day. And then the final one is visual identity. And this is your logo, your color scheme, your font, even the photos that you post of your family and your friends and your dog. And again, by showcasing this visual identity, it makes people feel a certain type of way, right? So for example, the other day, Gabe posted a video of himself snowboarding, or it wasn't a video. I'd love to see a video though, Gabe. I'm waiting for that. Maybe on like the jumps or something. But he posted a photo of himself snowboarding. And for somebody who might also be interested in snowboarding, they're going to look at that and be like, oh, that's awesome. They also can kind of see Gabe's values in that, right? Like as a busy business owner, he still makes time to do the things that he loves, which is snowboarding or hanging out with his wife or his children. So again, it really goes to show how important these three different things are. And when you compile all these different things, that's really what pushes your brand personality to the next level. But of course, I can't move on without jumping into this Paramount Plus commercial. So I want to take a few minutes and again, showcase how adding some personality into your brand can make you feel a completely different type of way about a business.
On Paramount Mountain, the stakes get higher.
I mean, I can't get that thing up there. If it were a football, I'd be able to reach the top.
What about a football-shaped head? We throw the child.
Gutsy call, sir.
Smart thinking.
What? No, that's dumb thinking. He's not throwing Arnold.
Throw him.
Throw.
Hey, do you want an immunity idol?
What? You can't throw a child at a wall.
Paramore, shut your face!
Shut me.
Unless you prefer to freeze to death.
I'm not gonna throw a kid.
Not built for the moment, I see. Fine. I'll throw him.
And Creed's here.
Watch and learn.
Dang, he's cool.
It's the fifth quarter, and we need a hole-in-one before the seventh inning stretch. Be brave. Hike!
Can you take me higher to a place where I might see?
I just threw him higher.
Come on.
To a place where we won't freeze.
He just threw me hard. I'm good.
So close.
How are we going to get up there?
Now, if there were only someone made of pigskin.
Bingo.
Oh, dear.
Can you take me higher?
All right. So again, this really just goes to show how adding that humor and not only that, but the nostalgia, right, of all of these different characters that's going to cater to a bunch of people's interests really drew people in. Because think about if Paramount would have just thrown a commercial out there saying like, hey, look at these different movies and TV shows we have here. You can subscribe now. And again, that probably would have been effective because Paramount is Paramount. But this has had me remember it for at least 3 days now. And it makes me want to share it, right? I mean, maybe that's just because we're in marketing. But again, this is a type of commercial that really just goes to show how adding that brand personality can completely make a difference in the way that people remember you.
On Paramount Mountain.
Sure, nobody wants to listen to it again. So let me see if I can switch. Okay. So now I actually want everybody to take a moment and think of a brand that you absolutely love. And I want to just break down what their values are, what their voice is, and what their visual identity is. And I really want to just showcase how people and how these different brands use their brand personality to attract people. So while you guys are putting that in the chat, Gabe, I am going to put you on the spot here and have you think of a brand that you absolutely love.
So I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction with this. as you know, I do most things on the fly. But I actually really like this brand called Easy Plant, easyplant.com. And the reason that I like it is somehow a long time ago they showed up in like my feed, and I was like, oh, like I want to have houseplants, but for me to remember to water something, like I have to already have a system to remind myself to feed my dog. It doesn't mean I'm not a good dog owner, but like if Rachel's not feeding the dog, then I have to have a little reminder system to feed him, and let alone a plant that will never like come up to me and remind me that it's time to go outside or get fed. And so what I really like about Easy Plant is I found them at some point and I was like, man, I'd love to have houseplants, but I'm terrible at watering them. And their slogan, which is a part of their brand, if I search for it online, it says easy care, self-watering plants that don't die. Start watering the smart way with the Easy Plant breakthrough technology. Order online today. So that's like one of their ads. But the reason that I really like them is that they figured out, they know my demographic. I'm busy, busy professional. I run a company and have a lot going on during the day, and I only have to water this thing once a month. So I know when March 1st rolls around, it's time to water my plant. And I enjoy it. I love it because I love being in the outdoors, and I want to make the inside of my house a little bit more like the outdoors. And so I will probably be getting more of these over time, but that is a brand that I really love.
So we must be the same target audience, Gabe, because I own an Easy Plant.
All right. See, they are a good company.
I kill it. My husband bought me some flowers yesterday for Valentine's Day, and I said, well, I don't know why you did that because it's going to be dead in a week. But Easy Plant, again, it really caters to your values. And would you say that like between their values, their voice, and their visual identity, like they have you hooked?
Exactly. What parts would you say? Or just I don't know if I heard the question there. Sorry.
Would you say that between like their values, their voice, and their visual identity, like that's what brought you in? Yeah,
absolutely. Because it started like I saw them. I'm sure I probably saw them on Facebook or somewhere, and I like clicked through and must have subscribed or checked something out at some level because I ended up on their email list. And the way that they keep sending emails of like, here's this beautiful new plant. It's easy to take care of. It'll make your house look better, your office look better. Like they're totally speaking my language because they're reminding me like you want this beauty, this like nature, this alive thing in your house. And you don't have to worry about it at all. Like you can be as irresponsible as you already are with Plantscape. So it definitely speaks to me.
That's awesome. Thank you, Gabe. And again, this really just goes to show that between these three different things, they captured people like myself and Gabe because they catered to our values, our voice, and our visual identity. And later in the presentation, we're actually going to be talking about how exactly to figure those things out so you can talk directly to your audience. The houseplant graveyard. Maybe that's what my house should be called. I have a lot of plastic ones nowadays because between my not watering and my cats liking to eat my others, it doesn't work out. Any other brands that people love in the comments? And if not, we can move on and we can come back to this at some point as well.
Yeah, well, people are putting in, I would say that brand like came to mind, and I think it's really cool because it's super niche down. Like I feel like it's niched. It like speaks my language, and it's a pretty good company. And I mentioned to one of my friends, he's like, oh yeah, I have that too. And he's another entrepreneur that's busy running his business, not watering his plants. But anyway, the other brand, well, if anybody else is thinking of anything, like Ashley said, definitely put that in the comments. Apple is definitely hands down probably my all-time favorite brand because we always say like we're an Apple family. Like that's how bought in we are to the brand. I have probably a dozen Apple devices in the house total in the family, something like that. Way too many. But I really like that. I love Apple's focus on simplicity in their design and just like an obsession about user experience. And it's one of the reasons, just being honest, like it's one of the reasons I cannot stand Android phones because they don't give me the same user experience. Like it's not as stable, it's not as beautiful. Like the apps that get through on other platforms are not allowed on Apple sometimes because they don't meet their design standards. And like, so it definitely, Apple is so invested in their brand, have been around so long, but they definitely do call out to, the independent thinker, the creative, the non-traditional person. Like they've nailed down how to like really call out to that personality type. And then on top of that, part of their brand, which I like to point out to people sometimes, is you pay more for Apple, and that's part of their brand. And then you expect high quality, awesome customer service. Like everything trickles down from that value statement, not only from how they show up branding wise in their product set, but what they charge. It's a big piece of their brand as well. And Tom put in he likes Pete's Coffee. Yep. So there's definitely going to be certain brands like that that just speak to you, and you're like, man, that's my brand. That's who I want to do business with. I feel comfortable around them. So I think that's a great question, Ashley.
Yeah, I agree. And Tom, I would even challenge you to, whenever you have some time, I know that you're busy, but think about what about Peet's Coffee brought you in? Like, is it their values, their voice, and their visual identity? Because the really important thing about this exercise is seeing how not only like you can do this for your like ideal audience, but how it has been done to you. And it kind of goes to show like, wow, like I'm a consumer and clearly like I'm the consumer for this business because it seems like they're talking just to me, but in reality, they really just segmented and they found their audience in order to specifically talk to. Not Starbucks. I am unfortunately a Starbucks girl, Tom. That's been my language ever since I was young. So, but exactly. So thank you so much, Gabe. And with the Apple thing, I can definitely see that connectivity because, with you being so busy, to see like those features on there, how like all of the Apple devices are connected. As a business owner, that's easy for you to just be like, okay, well, I can look it up on my phone, my Mac, my watch, my iPad, anything, and I'm going to have the same exact thing that, I need. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. They helped Starbucks original folks get started and they taught them how to roast beans. That's awesome, Tom. That's really awesome. I'm going to have to look into that. I actually purchase coffee beans myself and grind them, even though it's more work, but I like the idea of it because I want to be extra about my coffee. So, all right. Well, that's all I needed from you, Gabe. I'm going to
Yeah, Ashley, I think you're muted there if you want to. I don't know if something got hit there. If you want to just restate what you said. That's all right. Go right ahead.
No worries. Okay. I have to do it for dramatic effect again, guys. So even the most successful brands leverage brand personality. So we have Apple, Starbucks, I'm sorry, Tom, Amazon, Netflix, Carhartt, Target, Nike, McDonald's, Airbnb, and FedEx, and so many other more. But if you think about these different brands, they are drastically different, right? Like Apple, very innovative, the ease of use. When you think of Carhartt, this is for the guys that are blue collar working the 9 to 5, right? Like they put out durable clothes, and my husband is personally a victim of Carhartt, and so is my wallet. Nike, you think of like the young kids that look up to these athletes. When I played soccer in high school and college, Nike was the brand, and it's because I felt connected to that as opposed to other brands like Adidas or Under Armour. Airbnb, they really use their personality to target families that don't want to be cooped up in a hotel room, right? If they're on vacation, they want to make memories both outside on vacation, but also inside, cooking dinner together, getting to know your family, having the space in order to spend time with your family. So it really just goes to show that all of these brands leverage a different brand personality. And if you look at some of these brands just on their own scope, you can really see how their personalities are drastically different. And some brands, in fact, even brand in multiple ways where you don't even need to hear their name in order to know who they are. So little pop quiz for you guys, but whose slogan is "I'm loving it"? Any ideas? Talked about them earlier. Any guesses? McDonald's, exactly. So, of course, that's McDonald's. The next one is actually a tagline, and it's funny because they actually put some of their personality values in their tagline, but it's Freaky Fast Delivery. I'm not sure if it's only near me, but whose tagline do you think is Freaky Fast Delivery? Any guesses there? We stumped on this one. I wish it was Domino's. There's somebody endorsement is Danny DeVito. And it might just be near us, Kayla, so I'm not sure. But this is actually Jimmy John's. I am also a victim of Jimmy John's. And then finally, this is actually a tune. And I want you guys to listen to this because especially being a new homeowner, I hear this tune all the time. And it automatically makes me want to get up and go do something to my house. So listen in and let me know in the comments what business you think of when you hear this.
by Voicey.network.
For those of you who said Lowe's, it is actually Home Depot, but Lowe's would love that you're thinking of them while you're hearing Home Depot's song, so that's awesome. So now what you guys all came here for, Ashley, stop educating me. I want to know how to do this myself. And I really want to just learn how I can start to attract those clients and retain the ones that I love working with. And step one to doing this is actually creating the client avatar. So a client avatar is essentially just a fictional representation of your ideal client. And full disclosure, it's not just one client that's going to be your client avatar. It's going to be a pool of the clients that you absolutely love working with, and you would do anything in order to get more of those. And the reason that you have to pull a pool is because if you have, for example, 100 people and only 2 of them really love dogs, but the rest love cats, it's likely that you're going to reference cats in your marketing as opposed to dogs, because that's what the majority of your client avatar is interested in. And even though the idea of referencing dogs and cats in marketing might seem extremely specific, using those specifics is really what helps you and your brand stand out from other people and connect with people in a way that other brands might not. So when it comes to creating your client avatar, there's actually 3 things that you need to pay attention to, which is demographics, psychographics, and your behavioral information, which is essentially how they interact with brands. So starting with the demographics is essentially just the basic information that you can get about a client or a customer. And again, this really helps you, as you can see in this little orange piece here, segment out the people that you actually want to work with and might be interested in your brand. Because say you were just throwing an ad out there for everybody to see, or throwing a social media post out there and you weren't specific, you might draw people in that might not be the best client to work with or the best customer for you. So when it comes to demographics, you always have to start by thinking about the age, because obviously the way that you talk to an older age group might be a little bit different than how you talk to a younger age group. So I always like to take my pool of clients and segment out what the majority age is. So for example, for BME, we're normally between 30 and 55, but it might be different for other people, right? Next is gender. And even though you may cater to multiple genders, it's still nice to kind of see the majority. And the reason for this is if you're specifically speaking to males, you might want to depict that in your imagery, right? Because if you're speaking to males, but you're using pictures of women, they might be like, oh yeah, this isn't for me. The next one is income. And a lot of people think this isn't important. However, seeing their income really helps you understand, can they even afford my services? You want to make sure that you're targeting people that can afford what your services are, so that way you can actually get that profit. Next one is race, and people also may not think this is important. However, we've seen over the last few years that people see themselves in advertising. They see themselves in movies. And so say you are specifically targeting Native Hawaiian people, you might want to use photos of Native Hawaiian people so that way they feel like they're being represented in your imagery. Same with marital status. Even though this might not seem important at first, marital status is extremely important because, for one, you can kind of use, again, the imagery talking about and showing that, these people are married. If you're targeting, let's say single dudes, you don't want to use images of, huge families with kids. And also, you can talk about that in your copy as well, because if you talk about, marriage and all these different things that these people are also living at the same time, it really helps it become more relevant for them. Next is education level. And this is extremely important because, for example, if I was branding for a skincare brand that targets like 16-year-old girls, I'm not going to use super difficult language because they aren't going to understand that, right? So you kind of want to steer education level to really help inform your messaging. Next is employment. So for example, at BME Crew, we normally target business owners, right? So since we know that, we aren't going to go out of our way to try and target a hairdresser that, works for a business, because that would be a waste of our time, money, and effort. And trying to retain somebody like that would likely not even be worth our time. And then finally, location is extremely important because we have people, let's say, for example, if I was a business, a brick and mortar store in California, I'm not going to likely target people living all the way out near Gabe and I in Michigan, Ohio, right? I'm going to target people that are living around me. And so even though this all seems like extremely basic information, this automatically helps filter out who your target audience is. Because again, if your client avatar is very specific about these things, you're going to save yourself time and money, and you aren't going to waste time trying to retain people that aren't good for your business in the first place. But of course, even though this does seem like kind of extremely easy information to get, marketing is not that easy, unfortunately. We have to move into the psychographics. And psychographics really explains what your personality is going to be that you're going after. And this helps extremely inform the messaging and the imagery that you put out. Because again, you want to throw a little personality there. You want to throw a little value and interest in there. So personality, for example, is somebody describes themselves as original. You aren't going to use marketing that's bland, right? Like they like original different things. They like seeing different things. And so you aren't going to put out imagery that's neutral and bland. You're going to put out something that pops, that's a little wild, that's original, that they haven't seen before. For myself, I probably wouldn't gravitate towards that because I like a lot of basic neutral colors and I like everything to look clean and organized. So maybe I wouldn't be their ideal client, but that's okay. Next is social status. So the way that you're going to talk to an extrovert or an introvert is going to be extremely different, right? I'm sure that we have both here. And I'm sure that introverts, whenever you talk to extroverts, you're like, oh my gosh, like they are a little insane. And then for extroverts, when we're talking to introverts, I'm always like, man, like they're so quiet, or man, like it takes them a long time to open up. And so the way that you talk to those different people is really going to help you really understand how you're speaking to them in your messaging. Next is going to be values, which is arguably probably one of the most important things. We use this to inform our messaging all the time. So we find that a lot of the business owners, their values are family, their values are health. And so we talk about family and health in our messaging because that's what people value. And so when we talk about that, it brings people in, right? Gabe put out a post on Facebook earlier today, and he's talking about his 3 interconnected worlds. And he's talking about the different people in his life and the different groups that he values and how, you know, that trickles down. And if you guys want to watch that video, it's on Gabe's Facebook. I'm going to plug you there, Gabe. But again, by him disclosing that and showing people that, it's going to interest other people that are in the same position as him. Next is interests. So for example, if I found that the majority of my target audience was really interested in golf, I would talk about golf, right? Because there's no reason not to. It's really going to bring people in and help them connect with you in a way that they wouldn't connect with another brand. Next is opinions. So say I was speaking with a group and I'm trying to think of an opinion here. They all agreed that you are what you eat, right? It's an opinion that people have, or maybe they all had a same like political opinion. That would be something that, again, you can leverage in your marketing because you are saying like, hey, like we also have this opinion, or you can even call it out, right? And that's going to interest people right away because it interests what they're already interested in. Next, we have goals. So again, at BME Crew, we find that a lot of business owners that we work with, their goals are to grow their business. Their goals are to hand off some of their assets so that they can spend more time doing what they love. And so we reference that in our marketing, and it works because we are referencing like, hey, like we know that you have this issue and like we're going to help you reach your goals because that's your goal and we can help you do that. Same with pain points. We find that a lot of people that come in and maybe feel like they spend too much time, you know, juggling everything for their marketing and their business. And so when we talk about in our messaging, we're confirming like, hey, we can help you with this. And so finding out these psychographics, even though they're a little bit more specific, they're extremely important to helping you really segment your audience again, to really show them like, hey, I understand you. And it really creates that trust and that connectiveness that if you just only knew their demographics, it would be a little bit bland, right? You wouldn't really know how to speak to them or what their interests are in. And then finally, the last thing that is important to know is their behaviors. So their behaviors is essentially how they interact with your brand, which of course here, this is just a hypothetical, but their buying habits. Are they more of an impulse buyer when they come to your brand? Are your ideal clients, did they do a little bit more research? How long did it take them to even start working with you? Was it a quick sale or was it something that you had to nurture for a long time? Customer loyalty. Are they loyal to your brand? Is that something that they normally do? Do they switch on and off? If you think about that last personality trait that I talked about of people being original, let's just use that personality trait as an example quickly. But if somebody's super original and say they were shopping for clothes and they found this really cool underground brand and then it got super popular, since they want to be original, maybe they aren't loyal, right? Like maybe they'll just switch to the next because they don't want to be like everybody else. Next is engagement level. This is extremely important, especially in the age of digital media and marketing. But if they engage with you on Instagram and Facebook, then that's probably where you're going to want to market, right? You won't want to waste your time on LinkedIn or TikTok because it shows you that, hey, my ideal clients engage with me on these platforms. And so that's likely where I'm going to find those other people as well. Again, moving on to platform interaction, same thing with Facebook and Instagram, or say they didn't use Facebook and Instagram at all, but they engaged with you on TikTok and YouTube. That's where you'd probably want to stick around, right? And then finally, your frequency of purchase. So for your ideal clients, it might be interesting to see like, how often do they purchase from me? If you're a product-based service or a product-based business, do they purchase 2 times a year, 3 times a year, maybe once a month? Or if you're a service-based, how long do they stay with you? Do they stay with you for 2 years? Have they been with you for 5, 10, 20? But again, it really goes to show that you can get more ideal clients like the ones that you already love simply by looking at the demographics, psychographics, and behaviors of the ones that you already love and using that to inform your messaging and those 3 V's that we talked about earlier when it comes to brand personality. So now I want to do a little experiment and we are going to meet Brad. I'm essentially going to go through the demographics, psychographics, and behaviors of Brad. I'm going to show you guys 3 different brands. And at the end, I want you guys to choose which brand is going to attract Brad. So Brad is a 30-year-old male. He is Hispanic and he makes around $100K per year because he's a business owner. He is married with kids and he graduated college. Now, based on these demographics alone, we don't really know much about Brad, right? Like we know his basic information. Maybe we could start throwing some posts out there about, kids. Maybe we can use like a little bit of a, higher education level language to attract him. But again, we don't really know much about him. We might be able to start using images of, Hispanic male. So that way he feels like he's represented, but we don't know what brand he's going to want. He could go for anything from Apple to McDonald's. We don't know anything about Brad. So there's no way for us to really tell what's going to attract Brad. But then we get into his psychographics, which is going to help us really understand Brad. So Brad describes himself as an original. He always tells his son that he's not like other dads, right? He describes himself as an extrovert and he really values his family. He values hard work and he really values his physical and mental health. He's really interested in sports, and his opinion is that making time for extracurricular activities is important to him, right? So that's his psychographics. Now, based on the information that we have, we're like, okay, I can start using copy or messaging around family. I can start talking about, physical and mental health. I can start talking about different sports. I can start talking about maybe, since he's a dad, extracurricular activities that you can do with your children. So you can kind of start to get an idea of what Brad would be interested in, what would probably interest him as a brand. And then finally, we have his behaviors. So he likes to describe himself as an impulsive buyer. He is somewhat loyal. And again, this goes back to his psychographic where he likes to describe himself as an original. So it's likely that he's somewhat loyal, right? But he wants to stay original at the same time. He engages a lot online, especially on Instagram and Facebook. And his frequency of purchase is blank right now because whether it's a product or a service base, we aren't sure, right? We aren't sure how frequent he purchases. But once you do your client avatar, you'll be able to really nail down what that frequency of purchase is. So now I'm going to go through 3 different businesses. I'm going to show you 3 examples of branding that they've done on different platforms. And then at the end, we're going to guess which business is Brad most likely to purchase from. So example number 1 is a brand called Chubbies. If you guys aren't aware of what Chubbies is basically just a men's outerwear line that really caters to men between the ages of 25 and 45 whose hobbies are golf, going to the beach, and hanging out with the bros. And as you can see here, this is me marketing. It says, when you're leading the longest drive contest, but this guy shows up and he's wearing the most ridiculous original golf outfit I've probably ever seen. I would not want to play golf against him, and I'm not even good at golf. And then it says, it's all in the quads, baby. So you can definitely tell that it's a younger demographic that they're going after. You can kind of see like the different personality that's coming out in this brand. I mean, this personality would not work for other brands, right? But it works for this brand because that's their entire personality. So let's take a look at another example of Chubby's brand personality. This is an email newsletter that I actually received. My husband shops at Chubby's, so I'm sure you can already kind of see what kind of guy my husband is. But this is a newsletter that I received, and it said, shorts for making birdies. You can see this guy and his bro just sitting there lining up the putt, and you can already get an idea of what Chubby's is, the type of people that they attract. Up top, you can see free shipping on orders of 50 plus. So that might have to do with the buying habits a little bit. So remembering Brad's buying habits, he is an impulsive shopper. So he might click on this, right? And then finally, we have another social media post, and it says, in 2023, Chubby's donated $250,000 plus to Foundation 43, and we reached a new lifetime milestone, $500,000 plus donated to mental health nonprofits. So taking a look back at Brad, he values, his physical and mental health, right? So this might be something that brings Brad in. And just a little plug here for our next workshop, Kayla's actually going to be jumping all into corporate social responsibility. So stay tuned for that. But overall, that is the first business number 1, Chubby's. Next business is Dove. Dove, as you guys know, is a men's and women's personal hygiene brand. But for the sake of this, all of these posts are targeted towards women because that's their target audience, right? Women use Dove more than men do. They typically are target ages 25 to 65, and their hobbies include self-care, family, and sports. So this first post says body confidence sport. Globally, almost half of teenage girls are quitting sports. Why? Low body confidence. Last year, we teamed up with Nike to create a body confident, and it continues going. But based on what we know about Brad, unless he has a teenage daughter, this likely isn't going to interest him, right? Moving on to the next one. This is actually the website homepage of Dove, and it says #keep her confident, building body confidence in sports. Again, based on what we know about Brad, especially his demographics and his psychographics, this might not be of interest to him. And then finally, another social media post that says #note to self. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Again, based on what we know about Brad, he does really value physical and mental health. So this might bring him in, but based on our other context clues and other things that we've learned about their brand personality, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this might not be what Brad's going to be interested in and clicking on in social media. So that is brand number 2. Finally, we have brand number 3, which is Carhartt. For those of you who don't know, Carhartt typically targets men between the ages of 25 and 55 who are really just valuing hard work, providing for their family. And as you can see here, working on things, whether it's their trucks, their tractors, and whatever else people do when they're wearing Carhartt. My husband, he's a land surveyor, so he's running around, measuring the ground. But as you can see here, it says, our denim doesn't clock out. Again, based on what we know about Brad, he's a business owner. The image right away might not really attract him unless he's a business owner of looks like a cement company. But he does value hard work, and it says our denim doesn't clock out. So maybe Brad would be interested in this. Next one, it says rep in the Motor City since 1889. Nothing says grit like this blue collar gear. And then it says we're all about the blue collar, #grit. And there's a lion. I think this is a plug to the Lions, so go Lions. But other than that, as you can see here, it's literally calling out their target audience, right? It says blue collar gear. And again, from what we know about Brad, he's not blue collar, right? He's not working the 9 to 5. He's running and owning his own business. So this might not agree with Brad in the way that maybe some of the other brands have. And then finally, this is actually a Google ad that popped up for me the other day. It says, shop Carhartt gear that works as hard as you do. Durable and versatile styles that you can count on. The ultimate workwear and gear for comfort and durability. Get the latest Carhartt gear. Again, based on what we know about Brad, he values hard work. So this might, attract him. But again, this is kind of what we've learned about Brad so far. And I'm not sure. We can see what he's going to be most interested in. So the 3 brands that I broke down and what we learned about Brad, which brand do you think Brad would buy from? Is it going to be Chubby's, Dove, or Carhartt?
Alyssa says 1, which I agree with. I think that's definitely in line with it. I would also say that that would probably be a good brand for Brad, but I also think potentially, depending on how business owns, maybe it is Carhartt. But yeah, Melissa says Chubby's, Keith says Chubby's. Smart man, Keith. I love that because I love how you broke down, like, here's who the target is and here's what the messaging looks like. And obviously Dove is not going to be for Brad, but maybe for Brad's wife to buy him something. So.
All right. So the answer actually is Chubbies. And something that I really just want to pause and point out at this point is that if we didn't learn all of that different stuff about Brad, we would have no idea which of these 3 businesses that Brad probably would have shopped from. And it really just goes to show the importance of creating that client avatar. Because again, if you don't know any of that stuff, it's going to be really hard to cater to them. And since Chubbies, for example, put emphasis on golf, they put emphasis on mental health, they put emphasis on hanging out with his friends, which is one of Brad's values, you can see how Brad is like immediately segmented into that. And like Gabe said, he could maybe like Carhartt, but based on the 3, if he had to choose, I'm sure that he would choose Chubbies immediately, which is exactly what that's really set up to help everybody learn. So again, it's extremely important to have that client avatar. And these client avatars can be used across multiple platforms. So as we just saw, social media, your website, your Google description, your logo, your packaging, email and direct mail, in-person conversations, and so much more, because your brand personality is going to inform, or your client avatar is going to inform your brand personality. And again, it really is just going to spread wide across your entire business. And so again, Ashley, how can I actually do this? I'm going to jump into that right now. When it comes to creating your client avatar, step 1 is just to pick your ideal clients. And just like I mentioned before, it's only going to be a pool of your ideal clients that you absolutely love working with. Because if you include your entire client pool and there's some that maybe you just don't really enjoy working with, that's okay, right? It's okay to be picky and pick and choose your clients. And so you're going to want to pick your ideal clients. And step 2, do some digging. This is what myself, Kayla, and Nathan look like when we're doing digging. But again, this can be done in the form of market research surveys. This can be done in the form of just asking them. It is so flattering to one of your customers or clients that say, I absolutely love working with you. Would you mind answering a few questions for me so I can attract and really get to work with more people like you? If somebody said that to me, I'd probably be blushing. I'd be like, oh my gosh, happy Valentine's Day to me, right? You want to make sure that you're getting this information and it's really easy to just ask. And then finally, you're going to find the similarities. Because like I said earlier, maybe 100 out of a pool of 100 people, if only 2 of them like dogs, but the rest of them like cats, you're likely going to say, okay, like maybe I can talk more about cats in my social media. Maybe that's just me being biased because I love my cats, but you're going to find the similarities, and that's really what you're going to use to inform that messaging going forward. So for our giveaway today, we're actually going to be giving away BME Crew's customer avatar template that's going to have a section for you to pick those ideal clients and leave some notes there for yourself. Do that digging and find the similarities. This is going to be given away to everybody, but for the BME Crew members specifically, I'm actually going to be posting an exclusive workshop video on our school platform that we have here. And so look forward to that. We can also help you fill these out during our office hours calls, our accountability calls. You can use your credits to schedule a specific opportunity to go ahead and do this with us on ourselves. And we can even help you walk through our market research survey process, which has helped so many of our clients learn how to like build the perfect strategy in order to target those people. And it's done extremely well. So that is going to be given out at the end. So stay tuned till the end to get yours. And just for a few of you who may not be sure what BME Crew is an expert subscription-based marketing service that builds fast tracks. And if you guys aren't sure what fast tracks are, we essentially can help you reach a specific goal extremely quickly. So whether your goal is to go ahead and build your client avatar, we can build that fast track for you, and we can make sure that that gets done quickly so you can start speaking directly to your target audience. Say your fast track is just to create an email nurture series. We can build that for you and help you create your exact email nurture series. We also educate and support everybody's marketing efforts that's there. For the few of you guys who are here, I know that you guys know this. We have accountability calls. We have open office hours. We have our own platform that we're constantly putting updates and a bunch of educational information on. And again, we've loved working with our BME Crew clients, obviously, but it's been extremely successful, and people can come to us with any question that we have. We have a few of our members in the corner here. We have marketing strategy, project management, graphic design. We have copy. So we have all of these different things here. And if anybody is interested in BME crew, feel free to throw a yes in the chat and we can actually send you a direct link for you to learn more. But now we are going to move on to your personality, which is step 2. We finally made it to step 2. I know step 1 seemed long. Let's move into step 2, which is going to be your personality, because essentially your client avatar plus your personality is what is going to be exactly what helps you attract those ideal clients. And the stats don't lie. So 64% of people said that posts about a CEO's family and friends would have a positive impact on their perception of a company, as well as posts about a CEO's personal interests, which is crazy, right? And that's something that we've actually implemented for Gabe earlier this year, which we're going to show a little bit about towards the end here. And then the second stat says 82% of consumers are more likely to trust a company whose CEO and leadership team engage on social media. Again, building that trust is huge and foundational when it comes to promoting your business and doing that brand personality. So this is extremely important. The stats do not lie. And I'm actually going to show you how we've done this for Gabe in the beginning half of this year. And my biggest thing, you typically get out what you put in. So again, if you don't have a client avatar and you're just throwing in ChatGPT, make me a post about marketing. It's going to probably pull out a lot of the bland stuff. And if you post that, you're going to get people who are all over the place. And so it does take a little bit of work, but I promise the results are worth it. And I'm actually going to go through and jump in and show you how we did that. So I'm going to move a little bit quickly here, but just taking a look at Gabe's social media and going back to the 3 V's of brand personality, from a visual standpoint, you already can see so much about Gabe. Even if you don't know Gabe, you already know so much about him, his values, and really like what he's all about just from these 3 photos. You can pull out that he has a dog, he's wearing a robe, he looks comfortable. You can tell that he loves snowboarding. As a CEO, he's still making time for his hobbies. You can tell that he loves spending time with his wife and he's still making time for that. And again, by using these photos, we have seen a huge increase in the amount of people that align with our values, our voice, and just the way that we run the business, because Gabe is showing them these are the types of people that we want, right? These are the types of people that we want to connect with. And 55% of a brand's first impressions are visual. So as you can see here, you can already get a sense of the types of companies that these are. Lamborghini, that is just like in the middle of the desert, like having the time of their lives. They're probably gonna, pull out a little bit of a daredevil, right? And people that like to travel and explore. Lego, it shows imagination. It also shows a grown man playing with Legos. And so it looks like they're trying to attract like people that are the ages of maybe 25 and up that want to play with Legos. And that's completely okay. And so again, these first impressions being visual just goes to show how extremely important it is to send a photo of yourself. Put a photo of your dog online, of your cat. It doesn't have to be yourself or your family, but showing who you are as a business owner is really what's going to attract more people that are aligned with you and your vision. Next, we got to move into the copy. I know it's a little bit long. I'm not going to go through all of them, but again, it really goes to show that your values and your voice can bring more people in. So just to read this one on the end here, it says, reminder, you have the power to choose who you work with. Finding the right clients, those who truly align with you, will allow your business to grow more than you ever thought possible. Then it goes into next Wednesday. I'm hosting an exclusive Valentine's Day workshop to teach exactly how I attract clients who accept my authentic self and my rates, and most importantly, how I keep them coming back for more. Click the link in the comments to register for free. You can already get a sense of who Gabe is. He's relatable. He's saying, hey, you can choose who you work with, right? Finding the clients that align the best with you in your business, it's possible. And he's breaking down, some of those things that people, the pain points and the goals that we've learned from our client avatar and our demographic. Same with this one over here. He's talking about his 3 interconnected worlds. The first is for himself and his family. The second is for his company and his employees. And the third is for everyone else, including his clients, his vendors, and the many communities that he gets to be a part of. He's talking about how he has the beautiful opportunity to create these worlds. And at the end, he says that this all starts with ourselves and our family. Today, he took a family walk and enjoyed the sunshine, even though it was a little cold. How are you making your worlds better today? You see Gabe's values right away. There's no question that he values time with his family, but he also values his 3 different worlds. He values self-care. And so, again, by putting your personality out there a little bit, it can help you connect with people that align with you and that agree with you. And the results are pretty crazy that we've gotten. And again, we've just launched this new social media strategy in January, and we have got tons of engagement and reach. This first person said wins all around, and seeing Gabe the way that he is, he always responds to these people to show that he values them just engaging with him. This other person responded saying, I'm almost done training with my new job and been consistent in my workouts for the past 2 weeks. Gabe sent a GIF celebrating him. But again, goes to show the kind of person that Gabe is. And it goes to show that people are already getting vulnerable with Gabe, which is awesome, right? It goes to show that by him throwing his values, his voice, and his visual representation out there, he's also having people do the same back to him. And this final one was awesome to see, but it says, holy moly, that's awesome stuff and perfect stuff to share with my 2 clients who I know would love working with your team. Kudos to you, Gabe. That's a business opportunity just from Gabe being vulnerable and talking about what he's been up to in his lives. And so again, by putting your personality out there, plus knowing about your client avatar, it can create business opportunities. And we've seen it firsthand, which has been awesome. And this works for retention too. So with consistency, you can build a strong emotional connection with your clients that goes beyond just the products and services that you offer. A few ways that we do this: sometimes we send physical notes. Sometimes we celebrate their wins. I was on a call with a client yesterday. She told me that she got a client and I was like, woo, like that's awesome. Like that's so exciting. We celebrate on calls for them. We talk about it in our social media. And sometimes we just check in regularly to say hi, say what's up, like how are you doing? Because again, it just goes to show that you care. If you want to learn more about retention, we have a workshop that we actually just posted on School exclusively to our crew members who get to watch Kayla's presentation that she threw about a month ago on retention. It was awesome. So if you guys want to go back and watch that, please feel free. So at the end of the day, how can you get started and begin attracting and retaining the clients that you love? Step 1, create your customer avatar. We're actually going to give that away right now, Gabe. If you can put that in the chat, it's going to have you make a copy and you can go ahead and fill that out. And again, for crew members specifically, I'm going to be posting an exclusive video on School that really shows how you can fill this out. And we can always chat about it on our accountability calls. We can use specific credits to actually do market research for you. And we can also talk about it on our open office hours as well. Step 2, pull your interests. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be weird. As you can see, Gabe just talking about the things that he does in his company and his everyday life got him sales opportunities, which is awesome. Step 3, create and engage, whether it's a social media post, whether it's an email, whether it's changing the banner on your website. Maybe you find that a lot of your ideal audience is interested in the outdoors and you decide to implement trees on your product packaging. But again, it really goes to show that by creating based on what you learn from both your personality traits and your brand personality is going to help engage and help really build that trust. And then step 4, say hello to a current customer that you love working with. We like to do this all the time, and it doesn't always have to be just updates on their business, right? It can be just you checking in, saying hello, like saying, hey, like I really appreciate you being such an awesome client. Because again, that really helps with retention and it builds that relationship to be beyond what your products or your services are. And now is time for questions. And just a disclaimer, no question is a dumb question. People say this all the time. Oh, dumb question, not a dumb question. Asking questions will really help you just understand the process better so you can leverage this model. And like I said, this model works. So if you have any questions, I would highly encourage you to ask them now.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Ashley. And yeah, go ahead and put those questions in the chat. And if for some reason, I know some folks get to catch this after the fact when it's not live, just go ahead and you can still put those in the comments below, or you can always reach out to us. You can head over to businessmarketingengine.com and you can chat with us there. And we'd be happy to answer those questions. But I really like how you broke this down, Ashley, as far as how you talk about not only knowing your ideal customer avatar, like the template there we have that people can use as a worksheet, but then getting clear about who you want to attract and then showing those parts of yourself too. A lot of the times we are going to want to work with people very similar to us. So if you are very methodical and kind of have an engineering brain and like to do your research and walk through things, talking about how you do that online in your email marketing and videos you produce is going to help you attract more people like that. And they're a dog person, you know, do you like skiing versus snowboarding, or what sports do you like? All those types of things. By talking about those, again, you open up more of your personality and it helps people trust you. And that's one of the big themes that I know Ashley's kind of talked through here today is building a brand is building trust in the marketplace. And these are all the steps to do that. And when you're consistent, that's ultimately when you see the results. And I have a really good lesson of, good business example around this to share, because last year I had quite the incredible year on many fronts. I had a planned intentional major dental surgery, which was in the middle of the first quarter. And then I had an unplanned, very traumatic, in a lot of senses, pretty extreme ATV accident and broke my leg in the middle of the second quarter. And so because of that, I, complete failure on my part, but a lot of the branding that I was just handling personally for myself kind of fell off and dropped off. And that had a direct impact on revenue. And when we think about branding, we don't always think, if I'm going to brand myself effectively, I'm going to generate business, but we do. But it's not always, it's rarely, to be honest, like you post something and then somebody says, oh, I love them, I want to work with them. It's actually about posting that content consistently over time. It's about showing who you really are. And the work we do in branding our company and letting people about our personality, what we offer, what we're up to, will attract the right people, but it takes time. Just like you probably didn't, I always think of an example, like if you're in your local town, there's some news story going up and you're kind of paying attention, you don't know what it's going to be yet, and then eventually they put the sign on it. I've been driving by this coffee shop in this town that's about 20 minutes away from me, and at first they were building, I was like, I wonder what that's going to be, and then the building was up, and I still was like, I wonder what it's going to be, and then it now has a sign up of Victoria's Coffee Shop or something. I can't remember the name at the moment, but it's brand new, and so I may drive by there a bunch more times before I stop in because I'm getting used to the fact that they're being there. And they have a sign out right now that says, check us out on Instagram, and they have their username. And so they're starting to tell people, hey, here's who we are, what we're about, and what we're up to. And that will over time lead to, revenue and results. And so branding is the long play on your relationships with your audience. And this has been incredibly valuable. So looks like you covered things thoroughly here, Ashley. We don't have any other questions coming in, but of course to all of our BME crew folks, please post anything you want in the community there in school. We will, of course, jump on a call with you and help you with anything there. For any of the new folks that were able to watch us with us live, or you're catching this replay later, we really appreciate you being here and investing in yourself. And you are welcome to reach out anytime with questions that you have. We'd be happy to guide you. We have a lot of free resources that we love giving away that will help you. And of course, if you need help with like those things that Ashley talked about, if you need to create kind of a fast track plan to build something simple out that you need to have in place for your company, whether it's a small technology project or a small marketing project or things like that, we can help you. And then, of course, if you're looking for a longer term strategy that's going to actually move you through this consistently month over month, we have blueprints and other components there that we can offer as well. So thank you, everyone, for being here. This was awesome. And thank you, as always, Ashley. I always appreciate when you teach. It's thorough and actionable, and you always have funny examples. You're much better at that than me, to be honest. So I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And we will see you on March 6th is the next one, correct, Ashley? Yep. So we have an awesome workshop coming from Kayla on our team on March 6th, and it's going to speak again to how you can really continue to bring in the ideal customers and bring in the folks that you want to serve. And you are so welcome, Melissa. We're glad to have you here. So, and Tom, thank you, everyone that was here, and we will see everybody on March 6th on the next workshop.